I've
Why
started
should
the
I take
recording
precedence?
in anticipation of our imminent beginning.
Okay. Well, the beginning is upon us here. So we do have three features this evening, each about 20 minutes each. And I've got their bios sent to me by passenger pigeon by Mike. So I am going to read, and the features, as is tradition, will be reading in alphabetical order. And so that actually brings us to the man himself, Greg Correll. So Greg, CAPS board member, was a fellow at the CUNY, City University of New York, Writers Institute in 2017, where he worked closely with Leo Carey, the New Yorker, and Jonathan Galassi, the publisher of Farrar, Straus and Giroux. He wrote about his Parkinson's diagnosis, appeared in Salon, and sexual assaults in jail at 14, which appeared in Medium, and a half dozen essay poetry anthologies, including Into Sanity in 2019, co-edited by Mark Vonnegut, two short plays produced, one off Broadway, a freelance editor. He loves helping writers improve and polish, three ferocious, brilliant daughters. And ferociously brilliant himself, Mr. Correll, step up to the mic.
Thank you, everyone. I'll say as a preface to what I'm reading tonight, which is for me unique. As preface, I'll say that I've thought for years and years that I really only have two poems. One poem about what happened to me at 14, sexual assaults in a facility. And the other poem was the death of my oldest daughter, which happened about 6 years ago. So every poem I ever set out to write had something to do with those two themes. Lately, I've become more whole, I guess you might say, as a human being and with help of others. And so I'm writing all kinds of poetry right now that are outside my usual two themes. The first tonight is called Path. Hurling, gluggling brooklets quench our thirst. The hook of the moon, the gold star of Venus. We have, as we say, left the wrong and followed the right. A path both straight and serpentine. This path is buffo, a comedy of comedy. Deadly serious, the chilocosm depends on us. In the wings of the stage are sages uproarious, and I am rocked to my roots. My poles quake. In hell, bull chases horse to wear the nimbus and the crown. My confidence is clammy, shrinks from bright light, unyielding to the vulgar tide, climbing up the cascading water, outdistancing eyes. A small wind rouses the cold. I am a ripple in a river of darkness. I am revealed, no easy outs. The next is called The Devil Skin Your Emperor. I ease my way through pools of stabbing pain, as if suffering is a drug whenever I swim inside myself. But of course, you don't know about that yet. I warble like a flycatcher, then a wrenching clang. And what a sin it is to kill a boy soldier. Maggots gnaw cabbage, leaving us hungry in a cell. The little falcon cures us, takes us aloft, but the pull of the fishnet is plain water, empty of nutrition in the world's big ocean. When we prepare to die, we pity the living. Everything is necessary. We cannot understand one another. Oh, vulvic mother, womb waters everlasting, passing, yes, from mother to daughter everlasting, terminating in men. I plead, is collective kindness enough? What use are we to each other? All that is of me and in me is all of me, moving along with all other prisoners, whelmed over and over by beauty. The next is called Earth. I am 70 now. My vines become unwrapped, fruits squirreled away, caches of nuts lost, gone, moldy dust. Nothing lasts. Everything sparkles now. Behold the power of photons. Have you seen snow by starlight? Photons. I loved existing. I will miss you when I go. The next is called the new emoji set. The new emoji set is here in all possible skins, hues, and tones. Number one, wrists, the trembling pulse and tendons, almost terrifying. Number two, shoulders. Control yourselves now. The uppermost slopes softly into the vulnerable back. The foremost are moguls of fragile collarbone, décolletage. Number three, shanks, slimming to dog ankles far below, disappearing into meaty thighs above our greyhound physiognomy. Number four, throats, pulsing. Number five, ears. Come on, that's corny. And yet, who hasn't felt a fingertip or tongue hesitating on those inner hairs and felt the involuntary kegel, the clenching delirium in their nethers? Six, fingers. Nests of fingers, crafts of digits, probing and moving semaphoric tips, brushing, pressing, oh, best beloved, sleeping, twined in our own. The next is called All at Once. My apologize is no disguise. The frogs of early spring sing zigzag. I want you to know me and love me. The sycamore is on its own schedule. The coneflowers sink in tides of grass. My indolence, failure, vagabondage. My regrectitude is a hybridized fault. Cicadas sheds their gold shell, blazes. Will you clutch at my back? Inhale me with hands? The oak shares roots with the shell bark hickory. Ancient clematis lies half buried, as do daisies, my servitude, stewardship, reduction. My innocence is a thin and potent charm. The owl in late summer, awake at sundown. I have no sex or need, no itch or drive. I don't hate crabgrass or common vetch. I love myriad bees, close-up ruby throat. My serenity, false, real, momentary. My philosophy, then ritual, then myth, eternal spiral. My event, then myth, then ritual, eternal meander. Oriole sweet song, might as well be a phoenix. I hold compassion like a fallen birdling, shell attached. Oh, gold bee, oh, black bee, oh, possum and owl, my enlightenment, faulty, everlasting. This one is called Asleep in the Ice House. How do you speak obliquely about the disappeared? What anti-polemical style carries the banner of justice? Shrill, cliched, strident, no one persuaded as such. Abbreviate the positive, circumnavigate the negative. No, eliminate the negative. We all live in the in-between. We forgive all cousins. We rest uneasy with the aftermath, the policing of our urges, the terra incognita of your soft wrist. Exult in the righteous sun. You know how birds never return, passing through, let it all go skyward. The next is called Shots. Shot 1, tiger tears claim the rod of monkey. Shot 2, if you show no pity in this life, you become a tiger in the next. Shot 3, a blur of children born. Between second and third, he gets polio at a pool. Shot 4, he has to work out adulthood at 21 in a leg brace and with 3 kids. Shot 5, his solution is to act mild in public, beat and berate his family in private. Shot 6, monkey hides in the fields, as if tiger was powerless in Kansas corn. Shot 7, a gramophone wound up and ready, Chopin on the river's edge. Shot 8, a bowl of fire burns in my heart. I taste the salt in your eyes. Shot 9, you woke up in the womb, naked in your mother's belly. Shot 10, you eat our present moment. I announce to hair, pupils, guts, I am darkness. Shot 11, her world is an empty gown, empty shoes, heedless hat. Poetry is revenge. Shot 12, darker with eyes open, brightness with eyes closed. I stumble and fall. And shot 13, when your epitaph is carved, break the chisel in two. Be done with all effort. The next one's called lexicography. One is one. Lesson minus diminish equals fish. Ex nihilo isto es creation. Si. Blah, ye exegetes, blah, blah. Ruin is a space between words. And like sorrow, like hopeless babble, has no academic sources on purpose. Empty lines. Study our absurd hands. Dead Sea, Dead Scrolls, inner shadow angles, beaming baby never forgotters. O dignity, O shroud on shoulders. By any description we are strangled. Oh, the old sorrow, the loss someday of marrow. What will we hear when breath dies? Sorrow, inevitable. Tomorrow. The next one's called Every Book. Every book is a fragile thing. Paper folded will always show the crease. Soiled hands leave stains. Words persevere. The golden snakes of lightning in words. And notice on the wall, says the author, Monkey King flexes his iron rod. An author's note about lavender, supported by vulnerable pulp, pulp forever bent. The great fishes change when tides rise. They come to the shore. Our words, our intents, our effort, our words' intense effort. Am I authenticated by fragile paper? Good God. Scorpionid wordliness. Lethal stings, segmented tails move all this stuff, not reliable. Detectives in fire zones. Liquid brain work. As things chiseled, as things cut, as juicy fist is burned, black and white, lovely eyes. My words are red hot. Your words ain't doodly squat. Paper says so. The next one is called Ospreys. Ospreys croak, fire, fire, in a shoal of the river. Gelatinous fish guts of Arctic char. Merry now, food in beak. A time approaches when we are gone. Wife, women, and husbandmen will overtake seeding hemp. Children of all shades shall drift away, lose track of tracking itself. In the 9th month, we make ready the stackyards. We lose ourselves. We sow our many grains and survive. Ho-hum comes the sun. A red giant slowly expands. Yeah, and where's your God now, Moses? Due respect to oblivious osprey eating a gull, sun glinting on contemptible wings. The next is called Concrete Abstractions. Do not like me. Don't. I can't say why. I am so poorly characterized. I don't deserve love. Oh, love, I burn for you. I give thou my every atom. Touch is underrated. Blow me down. Discrete actions are self-explanatory. That's my juvenile passion. Rancid manure pits under the high planks. All fall down. Holy night. Round you, mom, kiddo. Jesus makes me grin his heavenly pieces. I fool you with this. Don't like me. Don't ask why. The next is called Story Idea. You have it pretty good, yeah? I'll let go if you let go. Ow, quit pinching me. One layered part is generosity, the other, the pain it causes. One in a golden light, the other a dark silvery blue. One boarder watches the storm coming through the screen. The other two eat and argue, worlds in collision, massive, wet collisions. The story never emerges. It's unretrievable except shard and salt and sensation. The next is called O Pulse. Oh, on my onio, or the careening opposite, out of tempo. Oh, my dog, her name was Obi. Out of control inside, over-focused on fingernail grime. Oh, and I don't remember what I wrote, right. What does stunned look like when you deny being stunned? The next is called When. When I was a child, I thought there were places on our body where a flat hand karate chop would paralyze or knock us out. A universal safeguard once mastered against death or dismemberment. I thought women's underwear was sexier than women sometimes. Sooner or later, I would see a ghost or not. I ached for supernatural. I twisted my smart-ass mouth for everything provable, real. I bet right. Not one part of the supernatural fails to wither in the face of scrutiny. Not one part. Life, the reality, it swims in, is banal, subject to laws, observable, replicable, explicable rules and effects, consequences. And I testify, O best beloved, every atom of sacred sensation, of inexplicable, infinite, beautiful life is all in me. I won't throw away ecstatic. The next is called Hell for Breakfast. I splay my limbs and embrace the floor. Time for Tantalus to arise. Time for condemnation. Virtue adorns my soul, my dark planked soul, my désolé, my liquidity, my performance. The next is a haiku called Don't. Mortality sucks, but don't cry because we die. Laugh because we live. The next is called Lichens. Principles precede nature. The emergent principle is life itself. Are principles inherent in nature? Yes. The principles of a tree are growth, root, and branch. The principles of a person are growth, root, and branch. Worth 1 copper cash, the mountain sage who pretends to wisdom. Fat, double fat. So goes feelies both ways. The next is called Right Now line. Here is my right now line. My bones cause no trouble. Miles of water lilies perfume me. Like paper colored by a brush, like green wood burned to ashes, I struggle to recall the one I raised. But she is gone. We learned to respect each other. We said each what we needed to say. Our relationship was good. So those final months, we watched animal rescue shows. Sometimes we held hands. It, it was bad, those final weeks. My soul is covered in dust. My soul is relentless. Fallen branches litter the property. Pine cones fall. No one hears. The next one is called Scrape. Scrape my insides, and I feel bloody pain and full of clean esophagus tissue and ready for all assaults. I scour my membranes. What is internal? What external? And dualism, is it wrong? And is principle inherent in reality? I shave my neck and eyeball to eyeball. And what do I say to my wicked self? And I am not honest or sincere. Oh well. The next is called At the Gate. At the gate under the arch, I talk a mile a minute. I dare you. I want to make it all worthwhile. These are the words that finally, no, they are. Yes, they are. I diss my associated here. Pay him no mind. No, no one gets through. Synchrony is as good as it gets. Like a pair sledging a stake on the rail. You slam, me bang, you slam, I bang. It's all salami up here. Tap, tap. I have my meat, you have yours. We glance off each other at best. Even when we really mean it, even when we shake each other and land on dimes.
Say, Greg,
Yes.
an amazing read, and in the comments, you're going to spend the next hour going through them, but maybe one more so we can.
Yes, I am at my last one actually.
There you go.
Okay. This one's called Whiz Bang. I sizzle. I mutter myself awake, and when I sleep, I write an ode to a baboon. Birch bark crawls with worm glyphs, dazzling the double Z king of wards. I don't like the idea of prison, I says. I slash my arm for a splintered life. I squirm in battle. Beans I mash, mangoes with my toes to make jammy liqueur. I hide in Iceland. I burrow below life. I thrive in the dark. Yes, blooming in heartbeats. Tiny fossils, sculpt erupting and flowing down, flowaging my sludge lines, assumptive, squirreling away, 13 millimeter wrench in my works, the slam, Jimmy, Johnny cake, flurry of party night. Geez, just to get into the Jeep, a crimson blow to the head, a kite in the high miles of wind. I pull and pull, sizzling, muttering. I awake. When I sleep, I can't remember a word.
That was terrific. Um, I know you can't follow, all the chat comments as you work through the poems, but there was so much to say about each of them. And yeah, I mean, being really familiar with your work, uh, and it's not the first I've seen you stepping out of late, but this reading really, you brought all that to bear of how you are expanding in what you're writing and how you're, doing that so well.
Thanks, Ken.
If there's, we have take one moment. If there's any comments to, you want to chime in.
I agree with Ken. It was very, very good. And yeah, you are stepping out.
I appreciate that, Raphael.
Oh my God, Greg, I've never heard you read this powerfully either. I don't have that much experience hearing you read, and I would like to hear it more often. You're not only good at the writing, but great at the delivery. It was very
right.
impactful, very
Thank
impactful.
I think my favorite line was sun glinting on contemptible wings. That's just a
you.
wonderful line.
Yeah, I like that too. Yeah, I like that too. Okay.
Okay, great. All right. Well,
Thank
now,
you,
Greg, you
everyone.
get to sit
Thank you,
back
everyone.
and relax and share in what's coming after here.
Yeah.
So our next feature is Carol Graser, is the author of the poetry collections Prayer for the Sorrowful Brain, Kelsey Books 2025, and The Wild Twist of Their Stems, Foothills Publishing 2007. Her work has been published in many journals, including Apricity Magazine, the Berkeley Poetry Review, Evening Street Review, Holland's Critic, I-70 Review, The MacGuffin, Midwifery Today, So to Speak, Southern Poetry Review, and Midwest Quarterly. In 2003, Graser initiated a monthly poetry reading series at Saratoga Springs, legendary Cafe Lena, which continues to gather poets and poetry enthusiasts some 20 years later. Her dedication to this series has fostered a strong community of poets and helped make Cafe Lena a central hub of poetry in the area. Graser often reads her work at rallies, fundraisers, and poetry events in the area, and has run poetry workshops for teens and at-risk youth. She lives with her husband in the Adirondacks of upstate New York, where they raised 3 children, countless chickens, and a few cats. Carol is stepping in for Perry Nicholas, who has taken somewhat ill before the reading. So Carol is in essence batting cleanup, which is a wonderful place to be in the lineup. So Carol, thank you for joining us at the last minute notice, and you're on. Oh, and you're also on mute.
Am I?
No, I can hear you. I can hear you, Carol. You're good.
Okay.
Well,
So
now
you're
we
good.
can, but we couldn't
I
in the
got it.
beginning.
we're good now?
Yes.
Yes, I
Okay,
am.
everyone else is on mute, so I can't hear you. All right, let's get going. I have an older poem here from my first collection that it's been hard to feel hopeful lately. And so I have been struggling with that. So this poem is a renewal poem. So it's called I Give You Birth, and as I'm thinking of as giving birth to hope. This is called I Give You Birth. I give you birth under fat black sky, heavily salted. I give you birth in palm of all mothers, seat of explosion, peppercorn crunched in the mouth. I give you birth before the sun's heat has gathered, before the slant rays can dry her grasses. I give you birth beneath a thin canopy of branches, rocky tumult of debris, decay's rough turn to abundance. I give you birth in cave of all voices of labor, poetry carved in every word of all tongues, chant of vast rhythms echoed in rounds. I give you birth like a diamond stolen, retrieved from dumb finger, brought back to earth's vein. I give you birth traveling the ticking gears of clocks, having learned that hair-raising tightrope walk, I arrive at your perfect click. I give you birth clinging to the mane of one among stampedes of horses. My blood is the sound of rushing forward. My face rests on the sweating neck of speed. I give you birth as I've been your vessel, as I've been your ocean, your distance crossed. I give you birth onto woven hammock of patient, impatient arms. Your cheeks have been shaped to their kiss. I give you birth in anonymous rooms, hotel furniture, sheets of no smell. I give you mirth among green-gowned strangers, TV tilted, catching our view. I give you birth beneath crush of hospital layers, doctors, administrators, insurance, the state. I give you birth in avalanche pocket. We come howling mystery. Our voice stains the air. I give you birth, gray rain pummeling ground, breaking deluge, pelting dissolve. I give you birth under toe of contractions, seized by the waist, there is no shore. I give you birth, undeniable sinking, salty beginnings, breath of each cell. I give you birth, grunting push of sloth woman, belly deep chanter, oh, anti-demure. I give you birth, catch, emerging black-haired head, slippery to hands that have died from such water, that have dried from such water. I give you birth, cradle you finally, wet cheek sogs, blessing my breasts. I am fallen to small-lipped depths, swallowed by the sweet mouth of newness. And this next one is also from this collection, The Wild Twist of Their Stems. I haven't read this in a really long time, but someone brought it up to me recently. And so I thought it would be fun to share it. I used to read it a lot, haven't in a while. It's from a series of stanzas, and the full title is Dear One. And the dear one is a newer baby. Dear one, I'm tired, and see your sister at 2, laboring sweetly up grandma's stairs. My hand in hers, she says, let's be pretend I the mommy, and you my baby. I'm working hard at going slow, waiting for her small feet to mount these steps. I'm straining muscles of patience. Beads of sweat pop inside my head. I gasp to hold this measure of calm interest. Sure, okay. We've played this game before. And when the breath of my ascent, when those first waves tingle in her small ears, she's like an actress of instinctual skill. On her first exhale as mom, she's in perfect form. I'm so tired, baby. That one. I don't do that many Zoom readings, and when I read out, I'm really not above begging for applause. So silence is a little rough.
Your lines are beautiful, Carol. Your
Thank
lines
you.
are beautiful.
Thank you. I'm not proud. This one is a winter poem season, right? We're really feeling it up here in the north. This is the icicle. I have a series of, in the new collection, I have a series of persona poems. Georgia Popoff recently read up at Cafe Lena, and she had, either a group or a book of persona poems, but they were objects of a historically famous woman. So mine don't have that level of dignity, but it's a nice kind of genre. The icicle. In the depths of winter, the snow finally became an icicle. Her lifelong dream to grow by melting, to be clear in her intentions, to stretch thinly from a fat start, wield a formidable spike, to overhang the bareheaded walking in and out of doors and silently threaten. In the deep freeze of winter, she perched and hung heavily. Gusty winds trembled her length. Complacent in her mass, she blinked slowly, blank with certainty. Everything would happen. The bright shine and steady drip, the slow loosening, the sun's hot gaze, her perfect daring leap, the jarring crash. And another winter poem. This was written at the end of a very especially tough winter. And I also, during that winter, had to commute a lot. Like there was no telecommuting, and it was like be there on time kind of job. The winter she left us for temporary work in Kansas. While we hunkered down under early storms and frigid air, while we crunched through days of squeak and bladed wind, while our windows filled with white and streets became trenches that locked cars in treacherous battle, As we braved our way to work and store, she endured the caress of a warmer winter and pined for northeast cold. Well, we emerged from one collected heave of ice only to be plunged into the next harrowing dump of snow, while we trailed with docility behind lumbering rust yellow plows, praising the salt they tossed, the trembling, feeble paths they made. She brushed her hair in sunlight and dreamt of catching snowflakes on her tongue. While we peered out of caked, bleak eyes, our boldness eroded, our skin weary of bracing, our lank arms stuffed into padded sleeves of defeat, she flew home to our dusted over, dirty white, and rejoiced at the forecast of the next day's storm. I love to shovel, she exclaimed. I miss the snow, she swooned. We silently killed her.
I have to laugh at that.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that.
No, I know what you're saying. You want to hear it. I'm going to mute again, but thank you. That was wonderful.
Okay. Keep track of what I have. Thank you. Okay, so this is the bird and the stone. The bird followed the stone into the ground. She loved him. She thrilled him with songs of flight. Her small head rested on his round back. Her wing brushed his heart. Together they would heave and sink. Together listen to the soft lives of toads and worms. He was her cottage. She was his nest. They lived in a generosity of roots. They plunked memories down in neat cemetery rows, epitaph after epitaph. The winter the stone died, the bird shook the dirt from her wings and laid him at the bottom of an icy creek. She hopped on the snowy bank and watched him shine. Okay. This one is a childhood poem called Pope Air Force Base. Pope Air Force Base. When my father came home from Vietnam, I wanted a doll, one dressed in colorful costume, message from a far-flung culture. I loved those dolls, loved to touch their storied fabrics. I loved to hold each country's name on my tongue: Scotland, Germany, Thailand, the Philippines. When my father came home from Vietnam, he brought my mother a black eye. He brought home a man who, when he drank, I had to learn to sit still and quiet as a doll, had to aim to become not a target. He brought home a new room, a secret door that as I touched it, was not allowed to feel. Sometimes the door opened at night in the middle of flannel pajamas. Sometimes in the scrubbed kitchen, graham crackers on a Saturday plate. The door lurked like a constant raven, peering over my ponytailed head. And when the silent latch lifted, when the door swung wide, war broke out like fiery terror somewhere in our ranch-style Air Force Base house. Across the street, another father lavished his barbed souvenirs, and another down the street, and one 2 blocks over. And while the unquiet dead were never laid out, bloody and real across our hopscotch military streets, still we felt them. Still, we became children of that same unnecessary grief. And this poem, I had the wonderful opportunity. Thanks for the comments, guys. I just caught a glimpse of them. Bernadette Mayer. I took a lot of workshops with Bernadette Mayer, who's such a treasure, such an enigma, and an amazing, just pure artist. So this is, I have several poems inspired by her workshops, and this is one of them. And the prompt was to write a poem as like a pitch for a TV show or a movie. So I titled it The Pitch. What if Emily Dickinson's rise to poetic stardom was a reality TV show? Think a Victorian house with staid, heavy furniture. A white figure wisps across a distant hallway. Cut to a bee hovering studiously over a patch of red clover. Characters will include an absolute silence, wind, sometimes soft, sometimes wailing, death, and a rotating cast of flowers and insects. Emily herself has stipulated we can only film her in passing. Each confessional is a poem, ink spreading on paper, abandoned in random spots, scripted spots, discovered by the camera, lying, say, among the debris of a finished breakfast. Thank you. And this next one is a little bit about the frustration of being a writer, especially a poet, possibly, called Ghost of Ambitions. You come visiting through the black air, my table pushed against the window you sit across. You bob the licorice tea bag in your bone china cup. I can't see your face, but hear you breathe, your gruesome exhale. The moon has lit the field, but the forest that surrounds remains dark. You're crowding me. You've pushed me to an edge. My womb cringes. You pound this broken table with an ugly bang. You keep me from sleep when all I want is blithe surrender. Do you think of my unanswered letters? Do you care that the mailbox leaning by my frozen road is stuffed with disinterest? You don't listen, but rise and toss me in the snow. Okay. So in this poem, as in my bio, I've been hosting the Cafe Lena poetry night a long time, and everybody in general is very gracious and kind and forgiving of mistakes that happen and difficulties that come up. So I have a poem about the one person who was especially not like that. It's called Portrait of a Poet Unhappy with the Size of His Crowd.
There's always one.
and you know,
And unfortunately, you remember that one.
yes, I know. I should write. It wouldn't be very interesting though to read about all the people that are just lovely. I once actually one mistake. I posted a picture of the person like in the publicity. I posted a picture of Richard Levine, not him. It was a different Richard Levine that went out in all the publicity, and he couldn't have been nicer about it. Okay, Portrait of a Poet Unhappy with the Size of His Crowd. His ears were new in town, but he had been listening to them all his life. His hair had receded into these ears, disappeared entirely from his head. The mustache that lived on his lip was a healthy, much-loved deer, a deliciously pampered only child. He could open his mouth, lift the mustache lid, and tell you everything about his teeth. He came up my stairs dreading niceties, introduced himself as a caricature I wanted to erase. At our wedding reception, his brother exposed himself to the bridesmaid while an earthquake toppled honeymoons in the tropics. We moved into a moldy home furnished at bargain prices. Mornings I drank strawberry daiquiris in a soft blue bathrobe and wrote poems about nausea. He died first, and I had his mustache removed in one piece. I wanted to see if it would fly. I wanted that casket closed. Okay. And this is something of a COVID poem called Here with the Rugged Picnickers. Here with the rugged picnickers and the woman in her yellow t-shirt and her blue bladed oars and red canoe, her daughter at the prow, her son a few feet away in his neon green child-sized kayak. They stay close to shore, skimming through the choppy water. She doesn't wear a life jacket, but the children do. Rain threatens, wind whips, the sky is stingy with its blue. In the car, the news was all virus and rising numbers. The news was all death tolls and shortages. The wind pulls my hair out behind me. I sit beside a small creek that ripples through the muddy green until it hits the sand and rocks near the lake. rocks the size of field mice, of turtles, of cows resting on the ground. The woman brings her canoe to shore, and her children wander between the rocks in bare feet. They jump back and forth across the creek. The girl wades into the lake up to the bottom of her skirt. They keep their life jackets on, and a mother duck drifts by with at least a half a dozen grown chicks. At this picnic table, I've gathered my deceased parents who took me to picnics by the lake with the canoe, and my deceased son, our newborn who never left the hospital. An inchworm with thin black stripes along its green length is doggedly exploring the picnic table's potential, pulling itself up to its full height, swaying back and forth, searching for an upward hold that doesn't exist. My parents are silent and seem happier than I remember. My son, who was the most expansive, tells me the trees are used to picnics with the dead. He says an inchworm is still an inchworm, regardless. Okay, so this is another persona poem. This is when I had my appendix removed and kind of missed it. So I wrote a poem about it. The appendix. The appendix believed she was part of the large intestine. She didn't have an origin story. At digestive tract meetings, she dangled silently. Sometimes they forgot to leave her a chair. She had ideas for departmental improvements, but knew she needed more clout before she could speak. At parties, she hung at the edges of conversations, contributed comments that no one bothered to hear. She was in love with the liver, but who wasn't? That dark whale of an organ. You are beautiful and vital, she told herself. They would be lost without you. She wasn't getting any younger. She knew that. She threw herself into the task of harboring digestive bacteria. She harbored impeccably. She harbored with zeal until she harbored the wrong crowd. No one answered her calls to 911. That's just typical, she said, in her first bitter tone. She swelled in self-pity and found comfort in her smarmy new friends. Everyone's got some good in them, she rationalized, making room for a few more. When finally someone noticed, when the bright light of attention held her in its glare, she capitulated almost violently. I'll be good, she cried. I didn't mean it, she pleaded, but the handcuffs were already clamped to her wrists. The large intestine pulled back from the commotion. The bad taste. I knew she'd be dragged off someday, whispered the colon, as her wails trailed off in the distance, and a thick hush fell over them all. That's the appendix. And then my last poem. Do I have time for one more?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yes, please.
This is a sort of a rant about the patriarch, I guess. Now is the time. Now is the time. Let the patriarchs heave and explode in their last gasp of insecure power. They are dying. Their hearts are beating out of sync with our future. They are rotting. Their grip among the boulders, their anchorage is slipping. Now is the time to witness that last vigorous rush of activity. In their gushing love for profit, they are rushing about, filling their near infinite golden cups, and some soon tomorrow they'll be buried. We'll stand at their graves and murmur about their just days ago revival. The good brown earth will swallow them. The fertile meal from their bones will feed nations. When their houses are cleared, their furniture repurposed, their metals melted back to pure. Once we've sorted and recycled and dumped and burned and donated, and there's nothing left of those fetid foundations, we will regain ground. We need sunflowers eating their toxin. We need new fields of varied wildflowers. We need the jump of meaty rabbits, the thick hum of bees, the crazy lives of dragonflies darting through our air. We who have been coddled and bathed in honeyed water, we who have been outcast and neglected, who in our shunned state have reveled in resilience, we tell the ones still fighting the war is resolved. The patriarch is mortal and dead. This is the rebuilding. We are connected by the same color of our blood. We are connected by the same air in our lungs, by the bone in our precious skulls. We are connected by our same mouths, born rooting for the same sweet milk. Thank you. I'm gonna put my
Bravo, bravo.
thank you.
Brava indeed. That was beautiful, Carol.
Thank
Oh
you.
my God,
Amazing.
your
Wonderful
original lines, your original phrases.
You got a lot of love in the chat.
Yeah.
Should take you like an hour to read it.
I'm gonna put my website in the chat.
Yes, please
you-
put
if you
any
wanna-
links to books. Anyone
Yeah,
can do that.
Okay.
Anyone and everyone. Put links to your website, to your books, to your chapbooks, whatever you got. We try to make a point of buying a book or two from every Friday night, every first Friday.
I was going to say a few words, Carol, but let me just get something in quickly. Greg had emailed me saying he was having some possible internet failures. I just got a text saying my internet is unstable, which matches my mental state. So we're hopeful this will continue as it's going. But having said that, yeah, I found your poetry to be deceptively straightforward and laced throughout. You have to, you come to realize there's the language on the left side, and then there's all the thematic and plumbing, of life and situations and the like. That's all bound up in there. And it just makes it so palatable in reaching, our ears, the way, you construct your poems. So it was really terrific.
Yeah, thank you.
Beautiful, Carol.
I love that you use plumbing. Great.
I love
Well,
the
when it's this
beginning
cold,
with-
when it's this cold out, who knows what pipe is going to break? So I thought it was appropriate. Yeah.
I was going to
I-
say, I
I
love
like
the
the-
arc of your reading with the birthing of hope at the beginning and the hope of the demolition of the patriarchy at the end.
Mm.
I love the
Everything in between.
personification of the icicle on the appendix. I love,
Thank you, Julie.
and also I recommend your readings are wonderful. It's just a hair far for me to get up there regularly, but they're really great.
Thank you, Julie. It's always nice when you can make it up there.
Yeah. Well, the night driving isn't so great, but
I fully understand.
it is a wonderful open
Beautiful
mic
work,
and a
Carol.
wonderful place.
Beautiful work, Carol. That so many original phrases and lines. I couldn't keep up with it. Beautiful.
Excellent. Okay, so while we're still have our internet connected third feature, we're going to be going to our hopeful our hopeful person, who is the 6th Queen's Poet Laureate, Maria Lisella, was awarded an Academy of American Poets Laureate Fellowship in 2020. Her books include Thieves in the Family, New York Quarterly Books, Amore on Hope Street, Finishing Line Press, and Two Naked Feet, Poets Wear Prada. Bordadera Press will be publishing her next collection in spring 2026. Her work has appeared in Mom Egg Review, New Verse News, Patterson Literary Review, Presence, the New York Times, and won first prize in the Venera Fazio Poetry Contest sponsored by the AICW, and third prize in the Amilcare Solferini International Poetry Competition. She curates the Italian American Writers Association readings is poetry editor for Voices in Italian Americana and is a freelance writer. Bordighera Press will be publishing Maria Lissa's latest collection at the hour of now in 2026. She is the sixth. Oh, well, there's a bit of repetition here. So I got an update from Maria while we
Oh, yeah,
were.
just cut it in half. It's
Yeah, we're gonna. We're almost. You know,
enough already.
I'm gonna actually
Well, thank you.
cut it by saying I mentioned your bio says again the Fazio poetry contest sponsored by the AICW. I had to do a deep Google dive to find out
Oh,
what is
yeah.
that, and it stands for the Association of Italian Canadian Writers. So now we know everything we need to know. Maria, step
And
up to the
more. Thank
mic. Okay.
These two were really hard acts to follow. My God. But I'm going to give it a try. The first piece I'm going to read, actually, I'm dedicating to Perry, who couldn't read tonight, because we developed this kind of we edit each other's works once in a while, and this was one that he took a little bit. He's a very light editor, but he doesn't change your voice. He kind of gets you. If he doesn't get you, he won't touch it. So this is the piece that showed up in the Times. I sent it to the Metropolitan Diary and forgot about it. And somebody called me and said, "Oh, I like that little thing you wrote in the Times." I said, "What thing?" So here it is. So this ran October 26th, and Perry had a little hand in polishing it. It's called Still a Man. Now 6'2", at one time even taller. Like a tree bracing its corner of the elevator, he extends his cane to hold the door open for her. A gesture gracious, effortless, done 1,000 times before at the sight of a pretty woman. "Thank you. So that's good for more than one thing," she flirts. He's come back quick, and it's good for closing my car door too. Once dashing, Scandinavian maybe, broad shoulders, long legs, Marlboro man, square jaw, clear-eyed. Hair now feathery, thick ankles, halting shuffle. A book under his left arm, another sign. He is still who he truly was. The cane leading on the right. Important to him to let her know he's still a man, even if not quite in the game. He has a car. He drives the car. He gets around. Wants her to know that much as they part on 8th Avenue. This got an enormous amount of reaction. So I guess there's a lot of men walking around my age with canes. And this piece is a short piece from a workshop. To be greedy. Last week, a poet wrote about her desire to suck the sweetness out of the center of the world. I want her mad clarity. I will my heart to be greedy, to want more from now. I will myself to not worry about tomorrow because I'm acquainted with death. When my sister sobs on the phone, I feel her tears, hot, intense. Change is slow, love relentless. I absorb her pain. I avoid advice, carry her stories, stand back, yet am here. I hear an old crow whose caw reminds me to be greedy. The next piece is kind of an old piece, but it's having a new life because it's included in an upcoming anthology of Italian and Italian American poetry. And I'll read it it's short, so I can read it in Italian. It's called Di là dal mare, Across the Sea, Contemporary Italian and Italian American Poetry. And it'll be published in the fall in 2026. So I'll read the English first. It snowed. Bronx, 1982. That April, it snowed. After dating 3 months, I drove to his apartment to break up. Trading drama for action, he walked me to the car. I knew it wasn't over. The brown Toyota buried. We'd missed the blizzard during our lovers' spat. We marched back to his apartment on Creston Avenue. Welcomed by the blush of heat, we took our places under still, warm sheets, the sound of the snow flicking on thin window panes. Nevicò, Bronx, 1982. Nell'aprile di quell'anno nevicò. Dopo 3 mesi di relazione, andai a casa sua per rompere, baratando il dramma con l'azione. Mi accompagnò alla macchina. Sapevo che non era finita. La Toyota marrone, I guess they don't know how to translate, rimase sepolta. Mentre litigavamo era venuta giù un tormento di neve. Tornammo a piedi al suo appartamento di Creston Avenue. Il tepore del riscaldamento ci accosì. Ci stendammo sotto le lenzuola ancora calde, col rumore dell'ultima neve che cadeva sui vetri sottili delle finestre. It's translated by Christina Carla and Sabina Pascarelli. So I'm going to kind of jump around a little bit. The next piece I'll read, and it's a haiboom, so it has that little haiku on the bottom. And I'll just read this in English. Places I must go. My therapist tells me to make a list of the places I love, the places I have gone alone, the places I will go alone, the places that are not wrapped up with you. So I imagine a corner of the Metropolitan Museum where the marble Cyclades figurines are on display. Lean, simple, serene, spectacular in alabaster. White, spotlighted and haloed. How calm, how firm these wise, ageless females. I first saw them in Athens without you, but planned to take you there. Today, circles of them, folded arms, blank faces, stand against red velvet walls inside vitrines like Vestal virgins. But no, these females have lived and stood, are standing still, sensuous, as if curved and cut from the same petal or leaf in silence. Figurines on loan for 25 years, as lives are also borrowed. So I do write a lot about death. I was going through my stuff. I kept
Priya,
thinking.
what's the name of that one?
That one is called Places I Must Go.
Thank you.
Thanks, Levon. Okay, this is I belong to a circle called Brevitas, and we share Dorothy Friedman's in this show, and so is Trish Carragon. And we write poems that are 14 lines or less, and we throw them in the circle, and we email each other twice a month. And I think we're about 50 poets now. So this came out of meeting my deadline. Submerged in a swamp of sadness, I did what submerged in a swamp of sadness, I did what any red-blooded widow might do. Turn on a Tina Turner video, emulate her moves. She dove and swung and rose, how she did not look back, how she traveled and danced on those Lloyds of London insured legs of hers into her 80s, how I could never touch her again, how she crawled on her belly and vowed she would never do that again. I turned the volume up, because even though Tina is in another place, she stops by to wipe my tears. She's very generous. I have a piece on Yoko Ono also. I'll read that. I kind of like this piece. This piece appeared in New Verse News, actually. Yoko leaves the Dakota to raise cows on a 600-acre farm she and Beatles legend John Lennon purchased 50 years ago, outfitting it with a herd of 122 cows and 10 bulls. A dream to live on land as his father did, with no plans of returning. Their attempt to create new lives away from crowds, smog, love-ins, and the ceaseless need to be them on West 72nd Street until 1980. Lennon was shot in the Dakota Archway on the Feast of the Immaculate Conception, with no plans of returning. Outdistancing his dad, 47-year-old Sean pushes wheelchair-bound Yoko from stage to stage, celebrity galas. She perches alone on the Marcellus Shale Plateau, protests fracking for the rest of us. No longer hibernates in the sprawling Dakota, with no plans of returning. Controversial, she lived, starved through World War II. Like a modern-day Eve, gossipy fans blamed her for breaking up Camelot. She offers them her Wish Tree series, started once. She was widowed 50 years ago. At 90, it is as if she's lived 400 years with no plans of returning. So I guess I take a lot from the past, I guess what would we do without our memory? So this was written actually in a workshop with Joe Weil. He gave us some really good prompts. If I put my hand through time, I'd reach out to the washer in a screened-in porch in the summer. The wringer, dangerous and not foolproof, could flatten your hand for a moment and then it would pop back into place magically. And this would happen if you didn't slap the wet laundry right into its kisser between the rolls. Just so, and you attempted to adjust it. If I put my hand through time, I'd reach a snag of fabrics and thread on my mother's Singer sewing machine, complete with a pedal to urge its engine and needles to split into cottons and denims and silks, waiting to be formed into a dress, a pillow, a tablecloth, an apron. And remember the clothes she'd make for me, just a tad larger everywhere, just in case I grew into them. If I put my hand through time, I'd find the wide dish ashtray on a pedestal, brimming with the tobacco from Dad's calabash pipe. He took so much pleasure in inhaling and pinch, puff on its mouthpiece, as if it were a musical instrument. But this one made no sound, just the silent smoke rings, scents of spicy wood, apple, pine, and maple that soothed and pleasured all of us after dinners smoked slowly. And I did have to do a lot of cleaning out my parents' house. So this is a short piece on cleaning out Mom's house. And I kind of took inspiration from Cleaning Out Zadie's Apartment by Yehoshua November, who I read with a couple of years ago. Cleaning out Mom's house. Her scent still lingers in the garden view room where she spent the last decades telling her long, unhurried life stories of tailoring and cooking, sewing and caring. Boxes of buttons, threads, like building blocks in her closet. Mother of pearl buttons, plastic buttons, fabric covered. I enter a meticulous world of matching threads for straight running, back, slip, catch, and whip stitches. The wild red rose bush in the winter, scratching at her window sill. I do a workshop once a year with students from York College, and I had actually put them into sort of a meditation. I started with a meditation of where they repeated to themselves, "I no longer need," and this is what came out of that. I no longer, because I wrote with them as they were writing. I no longer need. This house with its refrigerator magnets, its talismans and dream catchers, its saints and crucifixes, its dusty nativity sets, its sloping ceilings on the top floor. Once a refuge from the noisy generation shouting in dialect English. And that doll dressed in a slow-slung crocheted dress like a figure out of a bordello in a Wild West movie. She had one blue eye half shut, and she spooked my sister every time she looked at her. Says she's looking back, but I know the background of that doll. I know she was born in Glendale, Queens, where my Aunt Rose used to crochet covers for tissue boxes and toilet paper, circular doilies to be placed under vases and picture frames. She was born out of that craft that no one practices anymore. Back then, it was considered a gift to receive something handmade. Never mind, it did not match the decor. But that doll would sit on the bed after it was made, and it was made every morning before we went to school. A made bed showed order, showed we were getting ready for the day, told our mother we were helping her keep order in a household of 8 people from different countries. And now I make my bed each morning to tell myself my life has order, that even in the chaos of losing my soulmate, one small corner of my day is under control, and it won't make me cry. And then there's sort of things that still linger around, whether, no matter how well you clean the house. I'm just checking my time here of my little clock here. Okay. The bear. Freakish in its unblinking stare out of 2 glass eyes that punctuate its cherub-like brown mohair cheeks. It sits upright in the back seat of my father's car, even though he died 20 years ago. His remains accompany me, a pair of suede gloves, industrial post-cataract sunglasses in the hutch between the driver and the passenger. When we sold the house, the bear sat in a child's rocking chair. The child gone, the chair gone. He had one place to go, and this is how my heart started growing, accepting what was, what is. The chipped, battered Honda at the shop, getting healed from its bumps and nicks and scratches because, like the bear, the car, the parents, I like the smoother sailing. And this was a crazy discovery. I did inherit my father's car, which is still oddly running. I found this particular item in his car, all over the car. His gift of hammers. After I inherited my father's car, I found hammers all over the interior, in a pocket on the door, under the driver's seat, for sure in the trunk. Had he planned to hammer his way out of a drowned car, submerged into a river? Or if on one of his drives he'd imagined he'd let go of the wheel, fly off a bridge into a lake? As an engineer, he tried to be prepared for all of it. Lightning, twisters, hurricanes. Or were the hammers a form of self-defense? Once he was nearly kidnapped by a small gang of people who had been waiting outside doctors' offices where old people would come out dazed or distracted, and they would offer to escort them to their cars, but would wallop them in and slip them into the gang's cars, call their families and demand ransom. We laughed at the scheme as the criminals were in the wrong neighborhood for collecting any kind of bounty worth the trouble of getting a senior who might be incontinent or about to have a heart attack into their cars in the first place. So I understood the self-defense hammers. Since I was an adolescent, he tried to teach me and my sisters basic self-defense moves, and we'd follow the moves like running a comb under an attacker's nose or walking with splayed keys in hand. We'd memorize the choreography, thinking that running faster might be the best option. Once he equipped us with spray cans of mace to blind attackers. But who would want to be that close to actually use one? One dainty hammer had a bird-like head atop a slim handle, made for a woman's hand. Another was robust and masculine and heavy, its handle worn and smooth, the striations of hickory or ash or beech or boxwood, all stronger with age, a fact not lost on my father, and his choice of tools. So as my father had tools, so did my mother. So I found this little nugget. My mother's egg slicer. You know what those look like? I bet half of you do and half of you don't, right? The tines no longer match the aluminum wire ribs, battered, bent, and dented, dull, made in Germany. They sliced every hard-boiled egg that decorated the rims of platters for engagements and baby showers and celebrations. Beaten by the countless times it stuck out of a kitchen drawer, clamoring with dozens of serving spoons, ladles, knives, potato mashers, measuring spoons linked by a ring, the scary-looking angel food cake cutter with its own comb designed to do the least damage to delicate cakes, smashed up against a poacher pan, meant to produce perfect eggs on Saturday or Sunday mornings when there was time to prepare something special because it was the weekend. Dad was home. He'd make fancy dishes like crêpes Suzettes with orange juice syrup, recalling his war days in France. The breadwinner, the singular paycheck. He deserved perfect poached eggs, something practical, solid. But it was the hard-boiled sulfur smell of the eggs that told us the egg slicer would be put into service, the special tool for guests and special occasions. It had its singular duty. It could not be used for any other task, but to make sunny rounds, to add style, good fortune, sophistication to 1950s platters wrapped tight with saran, carried to the party house. Never too tired, my mother would stay up until 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. Maybe it was for time alone, precious time to imagine something more than practical meals to feed a household of 8. Her smile of pride was memorable as she delivered those dishes ringed with compasses of circles, promising a future, an easy birth. She left but one, so I scoured the internet to find one for each of my sisters so we can celebrate with small sons. And this is a pretty new piece. Also written in a workshop. I get a lot out of workshops. I don't think I'd write unless I had a workshop. And somebody was saying, write to this thing. My hands are begging cups for mercy and love and miracles as my sister and her husband are in the tunnel of cancer treatments, chemo, radiation, immunotherapy. For months, Eddie was diagnosed with reflux. For months, the doctor looked no further into the profound coughing that woke him in the middle of the night, with a new pain riddling his upper back, only to find a month or 2 later, stage 4 lung cancer. She calls me trying to sound strong as she attends the house without skipping a beat. The new basement windows must be installed. The electrical outlet in the bedroom is not working. Things he would have fixed, overseen. And now he can barely walk from the recliner to the kitchen table where he loved to cook and create new recipes. The doctors guarantee nothing. Perhaps he will be cancer-free for a year and then more treatments, a lifetime, a shorter one than we would expect from a family of long life ancestors. I visit and try hard to keep the specter of my own experience with my husband, who died in 6 months from the start of his diagnosis. Unwilling to give advice, I buy her yoga classes to shed a moment of peace into her days and nights. What will I do with this house, she cries, as I hold her. There are no words, no right way to answer, no comfort. I can deliver, as I could when we were younger, and I could rescue her from the hospital where she landed after a wild ride on a dance floor when she didn't want to call my parents. I, too, imagine a beneficent figure in the sky would scoop them up in their arms and say, "It will be all right," and mean every word of it. Yeah, I have a lot of grief poems. I'm sorry. But it's what I know right now. This is something that I didn't actually remember writing, and I found it today when I was sort of moving around trying to find Okay, I got 21 minutes. You know what? I'm not going to read you another sad poem. That's too much. Okay. What rolled out when the clouds rolled in? Do tell me what you did inside the time the clouds rolled in that foggy Thursday. What did you think between their arrival and their scattering to make way for a sliver of sunshine to stream across the sky in a distant, alien metallic light so hard to name? How many breaths had you taken in between the clouds' arrival? Were they slow? Did you see peacocks or angels in the formations? What were you thinking in between this shift of nature, seemingly so unnatural, so oh, how am I going to say that? Cinematographic? I think that's not even a word. So without a cause or wind or breeze. As if a guest on an unnamed day in spring ushered in waves of unrequited weather shifts. No romance or ardor, just change rather than a stilling of the moment. Fractured thoughts, none to catch, grapple to the ground. Editing the present to make way for the future in your heart, in the sky. And I will read one, that's 22 minutes. That's probably really enough.
Oh, you can wind it up with we need an epilogue. Bring us that one more.
Okay. Okay, I'm not sure what this is, but this is for you. It's actually for my stepson, which is a large part of the theme in my next book, At the Hour of Now, which deals with some grief, some madness, and a lot of hope and love, actually. What I'd wish for you. This is not the poem about when you die, but when you fly. Flash of your slim waist, cape of dreadlocks lifted by the wind around your shoulders takes my breath away. For a nanosecond, I see you navigating through traffic, a dancer on a skateboard, as you once were, darting under steel girders that buttress Queens and the Bronx, or a skater on the icy mirror of Rockefeller Center, a straight-backed flyer, an at-ease child, someone's child, who feels freedom strong as tree trunks in their legs. You pivot and dodge and duck 16-wheeler trucks, buses, cars, scooters, fellow skateboarders. You glide through traffic, fearless, untroubled by urban cacophony. Corn horns blasting, but it isn't you. It can't be you. You now that you're living in a space of darkness and delusion, inside a room where it is always night, making music, memorizing stories, singing to yourself, recording your voice for no one. You plot to move to the Greek islands, Italy. Yesterday it was Japan, to move across an ocean or two. Like the urban pigeons native to North Africa, the Mediterranean, that alighted to New York City, fire escapes. You'd breeze out of the Bronx as they did for an accidental diaspora. And didn't they fare well enough? Thank you so much for giving me so much space to read so much stuff and share. Thank you so much.
Brava, brava.
Wow, what amazing features. Thank you all.
Yeah. They're all very different.
Ken,
You're muted, Ken.
I was just saying how wonderful I was. Maria, you are your poetry is so natural,
Mm-hmm.
and often provides such atmosphere and love the details that infuse so much of your work and really bring it to be so relatable and yeah, easy to smile at your poetry. So thank you for that.
Thank you. I always think it's like too dark and too sad, but
No, you resurrected my mother with her Singer sewing machine, and
oh, that's great.
baskets with
Mhm.
threads and buttons, and I can't, I keep them. And cloth even
Yeah.
folded away. And the doll with the crochet from my Italian
right.
grandmother, I saw those. I never ever liked those dolls. Oh my
I
Lord.
know my sister too, and she said it always looked like the doll in Twilight Zone that tripped the guy on the stairway. I mean, I remember that episode. Thank you.
Wow. Okay. So yes, as somebody was saying a moment before, what an evening of excellent features and uh, complementing each other in so many fine and really well credentialed ways. So it's great. So we're going to go into the open mic for anybody who joined late or while this was going on. Just a reminder, or even if you joined early, that we have quite a lineup in number. So we're going to ask one poem each of modest length, your judgment. Certainly, if it's shorter pieces, then you've got the latitude for 2 or 3 of them. And I'm going to go in order of the alphabetically by the first name. So basically, you know who you are. I'll announce ahead of time as we go along. But I'm already going to break that rule because Patricia Carragon, as she'd mentioned really at the top, has got life is demanding. So we are going to start with Patricia. We're starting with the P's before we go back to the A's, although there are no A's. But there is an A. Anyway, so Patricia, bring us, as I believe you've got some haiku, yes?
Yeah, Christmas haiku, political stuff. Thank you for doing this because it's just, I don't want to say what I don't want to say. Too much going on here. Okay, Trump's Christmas tree, fast food ornaments dripping in golden grease. Trump's Christmas tree, fast food ornaments dripping in golden grease. MAGA dog breaks east wings of ornaments. Cat gets the blame. MAGA dog breaks east wings of ornaments. Cat gets the blame. Rudolph and friends, MAGA dinner for 9. Rudolph and friends, MAGA dinner for 9. Santa meets ICE, illegal entry, gifts confiscated. Santa meets ICE, illegal entry, gifts confiscated. ICE cometh down the chimney, Chihuahuas attack. ICE cometh down the chimney, Chihuahuas attack. Thank you so much, everybody.
Well spoken, well read, and well deserved, all the above. Okay, so let me start, read off the first 3 alphas and omegas, but alphas, we have Annie, and then we have Bob, and then we have Kathryn. So Annie, you're on.
Thank you. Thanks. And thanks, Maria, for inviting me. Great friggin' reading, Maria.
By the way, Annie just had this fabulous poem published in New Verse News, too, if you want to look it up.
I'll put the link. Thanks, Maria. Why do fevers spike at night when no one is around? Why do fevers spike at night when my feet lift off the ground? Why do fevers climb every thermometer rung while life hangs in the balance, infection pocket in the lung? Why do fevers spike the night when silence is the sound that echoes thoughts and ricochets round and round? And why do fevers spike the night the body waits to shake, to roll, the heat to break, the sweat to zest, the soul to surf, the wave of breath, to and fro, to and. Why do fevers spike the night aflame and all aglow? Where's the fire department to keep my fever low? Why do fevers spike and bring delirious dreams of orange wildflowers, falling open their insides out,
releasing all their powers. Don't wake me too fast, I'll miss the dream of wild tulip cantaloupe petals waving in the breeze. But bounce me back for another round of walking earth, please. Why do fevers spike at night when the sky seems so serene? Home calling me.
Excellent. That's great. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Okay, so the next three open micers will be Guy, and then we have Julie, and then Kathryn. So, Mr. Reed, if you're there, come on down. You're on, and you're on mute.
Sorry, thought I'd click that off. G came quick. I've been writing long poems, so I'm just going to read the first two sections of this 6-sectioned poem. It's an elegy. It's called Numbers. Another TGIF, but this one's different. I'm unemployed now, and you are no longer living. You quit your job, your stress, left everything you owned alone at your apartment and died in the parking lot of your job. All your plans and dreams floating in the memory of others. It's the 129th day without you. The sun rose orange through the trees here in the east. An hour later, back in our homeland where you stayed, that star lights the amber fields just past harvest. Pumpkins have begun to rot, and pie is on the minds of those not deer hunting. Basketball in the gyms and breath seen like steam on gridiron Friday nights, when November stands, seat only the hardy, after the glitz of homecoming is only photos for the yearbook. I wish for last year's November, at the very least, 130 days ago. But wishes don't work like that. Even the bottled genie would tell you the dead are dead, too late for them. So I go forward, one of two who explored, faced, and experienced the world together, then assisted the other's interpretation between life's high peaks and its sea levels. A silhouette against waves at the shore would now describe either one of us. 2. 19,688 days. That's how long we knew each other. That's 2,812 weeks plus 4 days. Doesn't actually sound that long. Not as long as 54 years sounds. But when I consider, as of today, I've been alive a total of 23,165 days. Those 19,000 plus are a lot of days. 85% of my life with you as best friend. Could have been more had we met earlier. You were 8 and I was 9. You had 22,873 days of life, knowing me as best buddy for 86% of your time. Ha! One up me. Figures. You'd crow about it too. The days since you died are a drop in the bucket, but they've been the hardest days, the most confusing, like my reflection no longer exists. Something lost that'll never be completely known by anyone other than me, us, our history. One word could unlock a novel of remembrance. Now, a one-sided conversation, a voice into the void and no echo. For me, that percentage of time will only diminish. Your days are totaled, and you won't ever have to grieve me. That's it.
That is way more than enough. How absolutely beautiful that poem is.
Thanks.
I'm also going to be a shill for a guy. He doesn't know this, but I just finished his new book, which looks like it's nothing but glare in the screen. It's called Time Under the Overlook. And it is quite simply a continuation of that type of poem that you just read, the imagery and the tone. So, and it's quite simply wonderful. So, Time
Thanks,
Under
Ken.
the Overlook.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, Julie, you're up.
Ken, you mentioned Bob before and then you skipped.
Oh, I just did it. I just did it a second time. Bob, you're up. I actually chatted Bob saying he's the next name. Bob, come on up here or down there.
And then I'm after that?
Then Julie, you're after that. Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Short one as always. Doesn't know. Doesn't know who, but becomes him once he's described. The waves of the sea, what he remembers, and then forgets again. The rules he is given, only appropriate for some other man. Thank you.
And do you have another one? Because you're certainly welcome to share.
I could, yeah, okay. An exception. The phone an exception to the rules they were given. The clock's never a clue. The man only a signpost that remains ambiguous in the morning light.
Thank you, Bob.
Thanks.
Julie, bring on. And then we'll have Kathryn after Julie.
Okay, can you hear me okay?
Yes,
Can you
indeed.
hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, I just wrote this afternoon in time for this. I needed something new. It's called December Buried Bulbs. Snow blankets my garden this frigid December morning. Last night, the temperature plunged to 0, a record-breaking low for the 5th when it's still officially fall. Clouds covered the supermoon just as well. I feared the chill that would envelop me if I dared to cross the midnight threshold into darkness. I never got around to buying bulbs this year. The soil was hard and dry from summer's drought. November was cold and nasty. I never put the garden properly to bed, never raked up the fallen leaves. Age and infirmity caught up with me. Now it's too late. In bygone springs, my sunlit garden was spectacular, far surpassing the others on the street. Tulips, allium, crocus, hyacinths, and daffodils, a fauvest color riot. Now the bulbs lie hibernating in the frozen soil. Come spring, some may burst forth in bloom once more, but many will rot and shrivel in the ground. The showing will be pathetic compared to those of bygone years. Still, I have faith that April will bring back color, however modest, and that come next fall, I'll have the strength and dedication to bury fresh bulbs again. That's it.
Very nice. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, Kathryn Fazio, you're up.
Going wilds for grapes. Oh, worlds connected, cells protected by exocarp, torn apart, oozing tears. When broken open, my teeth await the inevitable, the potential of wet sustenance, jagged boundaries. Our eyes open wide with moisture in grocery stores, a delivery of deliverance. Going wilds for grapes, my lacrimal apparatus activates the sense of fluid without a dam. Grapevines are hungry, they feed on blood. I lay on the couch with a single focus, one eye on one grape. I cannot hold these glands, screams in my mouth. Oh, fallen one at my lap, do not fret. You are still worthy, very delicious, even though you hail from the Middle East. Oh, how I crave your wind upward, nearing my teeth. Tempted, I bow down to the earth, drooling, you climbing upward and upwards. Accept the pain of being broken open. Climb up and up from lap to light.
Excellent. Thank you. From lap to light. Beautiful ending. Thank you. Okay, the previewing here, what's coming up, Keelan is going to be next. I apparently begin with a K, so I'm going to have a poem after Keelan, and then Margie, you'll be after me. So Keelan, unmute and let's hear what you got.
Hey, thank you. I got a couple of tiny ones here. It's called The Sounds of Man. Black dahlias crack open like reluctant hands. The lawns are bathed in the light of a white jewel moon. Every night around here is a death and a resurrection, and from the windows of the neighborhood come the voices of people begging for a love they do not want, begging for forms of respect that terrify them. And the wind blows through the moon-bright grasses, bearing the sounds of man out to sea. Next one's called The Clothing of the Angels. Those ones who must wander in reverence when the moon is full. Those ones who can hear the gods argue behind a triumph. Those ones who stare at the ceiling until it unfurls like roses. Those ones who wait like there's something very true coming. Those ones who look at brick and see the dawning of translucence. Those ones to whom a lover's smile is like a chariot of gold. Those ones whose thoughts are pulled at every hour towards the river. Those ones who sing mad songs because mere time has grown to manifolds. These are the ones who will not make it. Not intact anyway. But their dissolutions will become the clothing of the angels, and humanity will grow from where they fertilized the ground. Thank you.
Well, wow. Really compelling work. Language and imagery, thank you. I'm not sure if you've been to the CAPS readings before, but you are welcome to be here with us at any time we go forward. So terrific.
Excuse me.
Okay. This is called A Madness to the Method. I've developed a rough-hued methodology for getting through any given day. But since these given days we're living through are themselves particularly rough-hewn, I'm reluctant to give my methodology away. Though it does involve natural philosophy, the transmutation of gold back to what's worthless and dull, as well as grabbing 5 pounds of hope and ripping it back to sorrow. And from sorrow further back to stone, its scales of minor mode, where blessedly few are attuned to the hard weeping from within. For the weeping is familiar, wrapped as it is in cerements of sadness, and my endless need to keep its winding sheet from unraveling in the wind. All of which I'm attempting to do in my rough-hewn way, as if I were achieving more than the passing of the day, to which my father shakes his head from his sad dead grave. I am in the competitive competition for sad poems this evening. Okay, Margie, bring it on, speak up and hopefully.
Ken, I'm not reading tonight. I mentioned that to Greg earlier before you came on. Did you get that?
Okay, well, I just did, yes. I was respectfully muting and then unmuting. Okay, after then Margie, I'll read the next three, and Mary, you can get ready. After that, Michael, and then Naomi.
Okay, this is called Heart Lightening. Dear heart, loyal burrow, time to lighten your load. You who have borne whatever riches or burdens I packed on you as I urged you along steep and stony paths. How seldom you stalled, knowing I drove you over treacherous footing. How seldom you brayed and begged for mercy. Time to unpack the leaden guilt and regrets, the knives, guns, bullets, sharpened words, the staples of music, stories, poems. Neither of us knew how strong you would prove, how far you could travel. Time to unpack ropes of memories, the fool's gold of the body, then the feather weight of spirit, then last, dead last, the bullion of law.
Yeah, wow, fabulous. It's just wonderful. Thank you. And speaking of wonderfuls, we're going to continue with Michael O'Mara. Michael? Taking a look through the gallery to see if Michael is still with us. And hang on. Was that Michael speaking up or somebody was saying he's not?
That was me saying Michael left, I believe.
There you go. Coolio. Okay. Naomi. And then after Naomi, we're going to have Raphael, Ron, and then Sam.
All right. So I don't think I have ever read this poem, but I was reminded of it when Greg gave his introduction about the basically how we, well, he and I would say we kind of do our one, or in his case, two poems. So this is called Scar Tissue, and it's inspired by Richard Blanco. Today I heard a poet say, "We write the same poem all our lives." And I know this truth. I write the poem of Ellen, the poem of my mother, the poem of wonder. Others write the poem of home, the poem of belonging and longing, the poem of damage done to earth, soul, body, the raw material, intimate struggle of our lives. We all write the same story, sing the same song, paint the same picture, swing in the same dance, shape the same sculpture, mold anguish into art, exquisite tissue of shared scars.
Wow. Exquisite tissue of shared scars. Goodness. Beautiful, for such, painful, if you will, poetry. So yeah, it's keeping our mood here.
Keeping the theme.
On the same channel. Well, these are not the happiest times, so I think it's actually all good. Okay, Raphael, bring it on.
Okay. I have a very new poem that I'm still working on. And it's inspired by a musician that I really love, Ben Cosgrove, one of his pieces called Depth of Field. So I was listening to it, and for some reason, it made me go back in time. So that's what it's about. When I listen to Depth of Field, she steps down the opening chords into time as the pages turn back slowly into years falling like leaves. The slight pause after the first notes, the moments filling that hesitation, the scent and feel of that winter, that girl, the thin icy glaze on snow, the deep cold, the pine tree, the squirrel, the orange she threw in the snow for the squirrel, but later, her black dog leaping on the squirrel who was head down in the snow, feasting on the orange. The chords progress like all the days called out and answering the question posed between the notes, way past winter's white page. A squirrel, an orange, the snow, and the black dog. She didn't mean to get the squirrel killed. She didn't recognize her life already in progress. How the snow, the dog, the squirrel was a plot she would never control. What other largesse have I hurled randomly towards the bright edge of the world, blithe enough, blind enough to wound or kill something? Thank you. Strange poem about that particular memory.
Yeah, there's a lot to absorb in that. And it really does fit this evening and this latest and latter poets who have been reading their work. So goodness gracious, December is proceeding apace here. So I can't wait till what January brings. My God, when the winter really settles in. Okay, Ron, Mr. Bremner, you there?
I'm here. I have a bunch
There
of
you are,
Senryu and but it's less than a page. Faces from my past drift away in rowboats, sinking in a haze. Fresh red strawberries, reminders of our love past, rotting in the fridge. What is my true name? I seem to have forgotten who I thought I was. I stare at this page, intentionally left blank, like much of my life. Sometimes tomorrow forgets that it is coming, till too late to stop. A sorrow deserved, a dilemma of horror if we elect fools. You become yourself when you forget your origins and just are. The tide washes in, then the tide ebbs out again, not unlike your love. And finally, this one's for my wife, Francesca. Stars melt in your eyes. The sun freezes in your smile. Your soul warms the moon. Thank you and have a pleasant evening.
Oh, now there's a nice shift in tone. Thank you.
Excuse me, Ken, I just wonder if I'm
Okay,
on your
next up,
am I on your list? It's Dorothy Friedman.
and is this Dorothy talking? You are now. How about that? So, but hang on, we'll get to you.
Just checking.
In fact, hopefully in a few moments. No, I'm glad you called that out.
While we're at
Next
it,
up is somebody I don't.
I need to ask Ken if I'm on the list too, because I signed up quite late. That'd
And
be
who is that?
Zelda Joan.
Oh, Zelda Joan. I don't have any Z's, so
Well, there you
it's
go.
quite rare. And how can we possibly pass that up?
As
Okay.
am I. Quite rare. Yes. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. I don't see Sam Hardy out there, but I'm going to give it a few pacing seconds in case I'm simply missing you, Sam. And you want to let me know that that's the case. And as I'm saying that, I'm going to call up Stephen.
All right. Now this one is a recent poem called Hypnagogia. Last night I woke because I felt the bed sheets shift, the way sand drifts on an empty beach in winter, the way the sheets would move when you got up to pee in the middle of the night, as you slipped away trying not to wake me, and the space beside my body went lonely. But this time I knew it wasn't you, and that I was dreaming, because you're dead, right? I saw you die, take your last breath, but for a second it didn't seem that way, and I looked at the clock and it was 1:45 a.m., and I had to go to the dentist, which was odd because I was only there the day before and I knew there would be an issue with the insurance. But I got in the car and started driving, but I pulled over because I remembered that I was supposed to be in a meeting. So I joined on Zoom and people spoke, and then I said my piece and stopped talking, or thought I did, because my mouth stopped moving, but I was still speaking, which is really strange, right? And people heard me. I know they did because they were laughing and said I made an excellent point. But I needed to go because I was late for my appointment, which was across the street, and the receptionist was pissed because they were waiting and they rushed me into a chair and restrained me because the doctor had a long needle she was going to stick into my eye, which was really fucked up, right? Because this was a dentist's office. But then I remembered that you would get eye injections for diabetic retinopathy, and I woke up just as the needle entered my eye, and I looked at the clock, and it was 2:00 a.m., and I'm writing this to you even though you won't read it, and I don't know what it means, except that I was thinking of you today when I was going through your clothes to give to Goodwill. Thanks.
It was great. Entertaining and harrowing at the same time. Tom, you just texted me saying you do have to leave. You are up next if you are still there and want to get your poem in. You might have already gone. Okay. So like that children's song.
Tom
is there.
There, he just needs to unmute.
Okay, cool. Oh, there. Yeah, he's saying he's about to add to our festivities here. And good night, Ron, while we're at it. Okay, Tom, are you? Yeah, you do need to unmute.
I'm here.
There you go.
And Dorothy,
all
you
good.
could mute because you keep showing up.
I actually have a piece that I got interested in sestinas. I don't know if a lot of you ever heard of them, but they're fascinating things. So I actually wrote a sestina on sestinas. And I will read that to you. The first line ends with just a word. The second tends to follow thus. The third one may not be so bold, but fourth line steps up, not the last. 4-5 is next, and that one says, 6, your turn must come right now. I'm going to want to stop right here because the last word on each of those lines is going to be repeated in every stanza. Stanza 2. We're
Excuse me,
building
I'm just gonna,
stanzas.
excuse me, I just want people to please mute themselves. There's about 4 or 5 people who haven't, and there's all kinds of ambient sound coming in.
I'm sorry?
Thank you. Oh, I'm suggesting that other people mute themselves because ambient sound is coming in. Sorry.
You can't hear me or what's going on?
Oh, no,
No, we
you're
can
good. Just,
hear you. We just want other people to mute themselves so we can hear you clearly. You're fine. You're fine.
Oh. So I gave you the first stanza. And if you remember the last word of each, it's word, thus, bold, last, says, and now. Stanza 2. We're building stanza 2 just now. At least I think we are. My word. Each line we write, the ruling says, must end itself with flourish thus, but never with the same as last. So 6 will end with only bold. In stanza 3, the flip gets bold. We're on a roll and moving now. Each line accepts its place at last. So sure, it's not the final word. Line 5 this time will end with thus, while 6 is left with only says. With stanza 4, we start with says, though stanza 3 began with bold. You see, we have to move words thus to keep Sestina's rhythms now. 2 stanzas more to keep our word. We finish here as third from last. In stanza 5, we're near the last. With one more stanza left, it says. Well, that's the thing, word for word, with no one daring to be bold by messing with the order now. So we proceed to end things thus. 6th stanza. I'm sorry to keep using thus, but please bear with me to the last. We're done with stanzas here and now. 3-line coda, our rule says, will wrap things up in flourish bold. So let that be our final word. Here's the 3 lines. And now we end our poem thus. Should any word become the last, our final line says it is bold. Those last 3 lines are the 6th and 2nd, 1st and 4th, 5th and 3rd last words. It's crazy poem status, but there's some good sestinas written. This isn't one of them.
I'm probably spotlighting my wife. That's hysterical, Tom.
Tom, I have to applaud.
Thank you for sharing that.
I spent 3 years, Tom, writing almost only sestinas in very focused ways. I admire that someone else in the universe still loves that form. Yay.
It is an old and honorable, poetry form for sure, and indeed, Zelda Joe, not easy to pull off. Yeah.
Yeah, and only a few of those 3 years worth of effort, only a few of those poems I would ever share again. But there you have it. It was a great exercise.
Well, we're going to hold you to that. We're going to hold you to that for the next open mic that you're in. So,
all right. Well, you just get me on as a feature. I'll read you a sestina that I dearly love.
Even better. Okay. Okay, so we're going to like that child's childhood song of "Do a Deer," and then eventually, I wish I had a glass of that junk. Do a Deer, and brings us back to Do. So we were Alpha. So we have 2 final open micers. Oh, it is a wine product. That's all I need to read. Okay. So Dorothy and then Zelda Jones. So D for Dorothy. Bring it on. And everybody mute yourselves.
Okay. Thank you very much, and it's a pleasure to be here with my fellow poets. I'm going to read two short poems. Chairs to be put away. Chairs to be put away. Chewed up chairs and tables of earlier marriages. The 6 bullet holes in our ceiling. You and I crazy glued to scenes from our bedlam. Carved initials you made in the headboard. That you nailed me below. Some other chaos yet to be identified by cops hiding beneath the covers. And so are we pieces of our lives glued back together, stored away, all our personal failures and defects, and the naming of each part. The memories of how we walked, you always one step ahead of me, hands and feet firm, mine clutching the air to keep from falling into space. And of the day we walked away from each other, wiping the language of love from our lips before the ball dropped on 1968. And the second short poem is called Perhaps in Time. Perhaps in time. It is too late to write about the way the snow is melting, the mountains threatening to break us down into flakes. But then, if you watch a snake move or bless a calf, it becomes a horse, and fear turns into whatever keeps us holding on to the earth. And though I grieve for everyone I've lost, I suppose there is some humor to be found, which is you can escape the terror by jumping headlong into relationships with animals, people, hieroglyphs. All in all, there is the inference that they can replace the thing we fear, and perhaps in time find love, even in ourselves. Thank you.
Nice. Really nice. Thank you. You got a couple of good comments on chat about your work. So thank you, Dorothy. Okay, well, I think it's only appropriate that indeed Z is going to bring us to the ultimate, not the penultimate, but Zelda Jones, you're on.
Well, some people stop at the Z. You got to know that was my favorite book. That was the first book I truly loved, On Beyond Zebra. If you don't recognize it, look it up. Look it up. All right, I wrote a poem this afternoon for this event, and I'm telling you, it's very interesting to me. It seems to me that without someone to listen, my poems kind of very often hide away till the last minute, and it's probably brassy to go ahead and read something I just wrote. I'll probably regret it in the morning, but for now, I'm excited about having written this. So here we go. A tea lounge in Brooklyn. Upon awakening, the seed deep within you, the bud opening slow, constant, the seed marvelous grows, expands, a universe beyond origins, beyond time, beyond hope, opening possibility, endless into egoless expanse, a phenomenon. This is my first novel, I say to a guy named Howard, as if I am sure not only that I can and will write, but that this will not be my last. A writer believes sufficient duration, sufficient content, if possible, cheerfully oblivious to the constant, the critic, the world around, greets and is greeted by the occasion. People paying attention must be credited with inspiration. What is the motivation? What the intention? What the conflict that will keep the level of concentration, devotion, even if we can't identify the topic? A debate between the great philosophers, Kepler, Newton, Galileo, and by extension, Kant, the science of an evolving, expanding universe. In the background, a cover band, Grateful Dead, inside the tea lounge singing Shake, Shake, Sugaree, the humidity beating every inch of skin with greasy sweat. Summer heat wave has laid a blanket on Brooklyn, a solid week in the 90s and once 100. Elliptical figures, conjunction of planets, universal systematic constitution among the fixed stars, but not a star to be seen in the Brooklyn sky tonight. Cloudy skies, steamy blues, a whining guitar, in an expanding universe of Saturday night partygoers, as a poet strains to find herself writing, while Howard sits tapping away at his keyboard, as he had for the entire day, every day, all week long, weeks on end, for the past 6 years. Passers-by admire his level of concentration, his devotion to the task, even if they couldn't identify with his topic. This man is going to type all night, something about present elliptical forms, magnitude. I will search for magnitude amid anonymity. Too many sexless men in Brooklyn, too many singular encounters with no follow-up. Mutual relationship types. But it is a species of nebulous stars and not romance of flesh and bone. In accordance with affinity, will he have the ability to decipher the distinction human connection? A progressive relationship of worlds and systems. What must be conjectured of the whole is relationship of parts, body and soul. Sufficiently important to command his attention or anyone's? In his universe, heavenly bodies take precedence over earthly ones. Yet every body that passes him receives its due, a pleasant greeting, a smile of recognition, relations, yes, the significance of each human heart, one at a time. In the tea lounge, the sound has shifted to reggae. Outside, bass booms from a passing car. Groups of partners clog the sidewalk, smoking up. I don't think I can take this smog much longer. Bilious. What's bothering me is the dearth of ideas. The vacuum that will open before me tomorrow, with no earthly plan or heavenly guidance. I will sweat through summer in a stupor. There must be a plan, a man who can dance. That's what I told my son and daughter. I will spend my summer finding a companion. That's the goal. And Joel, he will dance the tango. I'll take lessons and hope somehow I will be found. And if not, maybe I will find myself in that novel.
It's great.
The end.
Thank you.
However, if you've got 3 more minutes of Sitzfleisch, we call it in Yiddish, I could read that Sistina.
Oh, yeah. Well, we're going to be on the delayed gratification mode here, and we could bring it on a future meeting. We'd have to do the big wrap on this evening, not the least for which I have to have dinner. And Greg seems to have gone off into the ether. Mike never showed, so that's what we're going to be going off into. But I know, Greg, I think he probably lost connection. He was having some issues there.
Yeah.
So while we've got the person of Carol and Maria, big shout out for their excellent features tonight, and for Greg as well in absentia. Also want to thank Maria for the assist in helping to move the open mic along. Much appreciated. And just a quick note on, because Mike would do this, a service announcement is that CAPS the 3rd Thursday is a happening thing in December. It's on December 18th, and the feature is Peter Crowley. So it would be great to see some, all, and maybe more of you at that time. And with that said, just in case, some of us missed the third Thursday. Happy holidays. Try to keep it happy and try to keep it going, right? So thank you all for being here tonight.
Good night.
Thank you.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
good job.
Thanks, Ken.
Thank you, Ken.
Enjoyed
Good
it.
job.
You got it.
And I want to
Thank you.
thank some of my friends who dialed in and came on for a long time. Thank you so much. And it was great reading with you, Carol.
Yeah, you too. It was nice to
Yeah.
Oh,
meet you.
oh,
Okay,
there
thank
we
you.
go.
Thanks,
That's
Kath.
that's the holiday spirit right there.
Yeah, really,
night.
no, it was a very generous
know.
night. It was great. Thank you. Good night.
Okay, we want it all. All right,
Thanks, Ken.
I'm out of here.
Thank you.
Catch you later. Bye.
Thanks.